You're listening to Wake Up with Patti Katter, where we're overcoming trials with triumphs. Now, here's your host, Patti Katter.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wake Up with Patti Katter. Today, I have Jonathan Fleming on the show. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm really excited to have you on the show, too. I've been watching you for a while. I can't remember exactly the first time I ran across one of your videos online, but it really caught my attention because of a couple of things. So you have a bunch of energy and you're military. But before I get into what exactly you do, other than you're amazing, you're a singer, rapper, pop, everything. Go ahead and give my listeners a little bit of background on yourself.
Absolutely. So I come from the Houston, Texas area, come from a big family. I'm one of 9. None of my siblings were military. The only military in my family is my great grandfather, who passed away last year. But he was a Marine until the day he died. So I looked up to him a lot. And eventually, after a lot of convincing with my family, decided to go that route myself. I obviously have to be somewhat careful because I am still enlisted. And so just for the record, I only represent myself and not the DOD. But yes, I really do enjoy that. Passionate about it. When was it? A little bit over a year now. I think my first video I ever posted, my brother-in-law convinced me to post, and it just blew up. And then people started suggesting more, and I guess we can get into the details of what all of that is, but essentially launched a whole music career for me for this past year. And so my goal, and I just dove into this full time a couple months ago. So my goal from here is to obviously continue to grow and all of that, make a living for my family, obviously, is priority number one. But then along with that, I'm working with a couple nonprofits right now on how we can use my platform to increase exposure for them and hopefully keep me a little more busy and use the platform for good. Hopefully get back to the military community that built me. So that's my current project.
So that little bit just sums up a lot to me, because I'm like, first of all, I can see you, right? A kid in a family of 9, that's a big ordeal. So,
absolutely.
You're probably just, so first of all, your energy that explains a lot right there. And then your stance, being in the Marine Corps, it's easy to spot somebody in the military, especially if they're that energetic. But I can just probably see you growing up kind of playing military, good guys, bad guys. Were you into that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Military movies are always your favorite, and it's all fantasized. And then you get in, you realize, oh, this is not a movie. This is this actually is difficult at times. But yeah, I always kind of had my eye set on it. Like I said, it wasn't really something my immediate family did, and so I guess I never really took it seriously until high school. Then met my now wife, who was very against me joining the military. And so it took a couple years of marriage to finally convince her to let me enlist, and we came up with a plan that would work for us. But yeah, I really struggled to pinpoint exactly where that passion started or where that path started for me. Obviously, my great grandfather had some influence. I did go into the Army as opposed to the Marine Corps, but still, that military influence, makes a difference on you. And maybe it was just I was born the same year the War on Terror started, which is crazy to a lot of people. But yeah, I'm pretty young. And so maybe it's just growing up in that generation. I looked up to those guys a lot. And yeah, I just pretty much knew it's what I wanted to do the whole time. So I don't have much more reason behind it than that. So,
I got to apologize. I actually said you were in the Marine Corps. I guess it was sticking in my head. Good. Yeah, sticking in my head about your grandpa. So, oh boy, I wish I would have known your grandpa. I'm sure he would be so proud. Just so proud of you. And so tell me, what actually sparked you to start putting music together with the Cadences? Except obviously being in the military, it's kind of, you do that a lot, right?
Right. Part of the culture. Well, so I do come from a musical family. That's one thing about us 9, and you should see the family gatherings. It is something. The happy birthday parties, happy birthday just sounds better every time because some new harmony or some new ad lib is added, so everybody loves to sing. Some of us play instruments. I play a couple. I've got a sister who has been really, really good at the piano, and a couple others, but singing is the main thing. And so obviously coming from that background, I had a passion for it. I did a little bit of uh song recording and whatever, just for fun. I wrote a song for my wife that actually I later put out once this career started, called Milky Way. But that really was my experience. I was playing around at home. Once I spent time through basic training, and then toward the end of AIT, I was calling cadence for my platoon a lot, and just was getting tired of the same 5 cadences we called all the time. So on a weekend when I got my phone for a few minutes or whatever, I tried to look up some cadences, and I just realized that most of them aren't even recorded. There, maybe you've got some old recording somewhere and it's hard to understand lyrics. But I mean, probably half or more of the ones that I know, there wasn't a single recording to be found, just lyrics. And so I literally pulled a notepad out and I wrote down every single cadence that I knew or that my friends knew or whatever. And I wrote down, I think, 45 cadences on that notepad. And I said, when I get home, even if it's just for me, even if no one else ever listens to it, I'm going to try to record these so that I don't forget them. I can teach them to my grandkids someday or whatever. And then I didn't, to be honest. I got home and I just kept the list. There was a recording taken, though, of me calling cadence in AIT. And that was Fallen Soldiers, the one that I wrote. And my brother-in-law kept telling me to post it. He's like, man, post it. I'm sure there's people out there who would appreciate it. And I didn't even use social media, but I downloaded TikTok specifically so that I could post that video. And then I deleted the TikTok app, didn't look at it for 6 months. After 6 months, I came back and it had, I don't know, 15,000 views on it or something. And I went, man, that's crazy. 15,000 people heard my voice, but all the comments were people asking me to post it with the lyrics because they couldn't understand. So I reposted it with the lyrics, and overnight it just, man, couple 100,000 views the first night. And then within the week, it probably hit 1 million. And from there, I went, man, that whole list that I kept a year ago or whatever in AIT might come in handy because people are wanting to hear more. And so from there, I started recording them, and it was still for fun. Looking back, I really wish I would have put more effort into a lot of them because to me, they don't sound good. I just slapped it together on a TikTok live with people watching and just did it because there were some old veterans that said, hey, I haven't heard that cadence in 30 years. I'd really like to hear it. And so I started recording for that reason. And the more it grew, the more people started asking for original music, and I started writing more and putting more of my own stuff out there. And I guess the rest is history. But the amount of stars that had to align for my particular career to happen is just crazy to me. The growing up in a musical family and having a little bit of studio experience, and then joining the military, and then being chosen to call cadence, and then my drill sergeant even recording it and then choosing to share it with us, and then my brother-in-law telling me to post it. And you just start to add all of that up, and how much of it is time and chance and just seizing good opportunity, and how much of it is the hand of God, and all of that, I guess, is up for debate. But regardless, I'm thankful. It's been awesome. And I think, regardless, there's always going to be good and bad feedback, but I think it's been a net positive. I think a lot of people enjoy hearing the cadences, and some of the other music takes it back to a time in their military career that meant a lot to them. Parts that they enjoyed, and kind of reminds them the reason for why they did what they did.
I love that. I actually was going to ask you if you grew up in a religious home. Automatically, I'm thinking 9 kids. I'm assuming maybe homeschooled. One of my nieces, she's going on child number 7. They were homeschooled, musically inclined. And that's kind of all, when you have that big of a family, what do? You don't go out to amusement parks too much. If you have that many kids, you stay home, you make your own entertainment.
Oh, absolutely. We got great at that. And you nailed a couple things on the head. Most people think I'm Mormon or something. I'm not Mormon, but I am Christian. We were homeschooled. So we fit a lot of stereotypes. But yeah, I'm very, very thankful for that. I somehow am close to all of my siblings. I've got no beef with any of them. They're all awesome. And I'm number 7 in that line. So I've got a couple little sisters that I like to think I look out for and protect and all of that. But I've also got older siblings that are legitimate mentors to me, that are 10, 15 years ahead of me in life. And through this process and through other career and relationship process and whatever, they're great counselors to me. So yeah, I'm thankful for my family for sure.
That's incredible. So tell me, what do you think is next? Do you plan, well, I don't know if you want to say or not, because you're still in. I was going to say, are you going to make a career out of this, or are you going to just, do the rest of your time in the military, get out, do some music, but not sure if you want to answer that right now or not.
So, from the beginning, my desire has been to do 20 years in the military. Now I have a wife who is a part of these decisions, and it can be hard on spouses, as you know. And so I guess after this contract, we'll see what happens. I got a couple years until I have to make that decision. My desire would be to spend a lot, at least more than this contract. As far as the music, obviously I think I can do a lot of good in the military. At the same time, I know that because of the platform I've been blessed with, I potentially can do a lot of good through that too. And so I'll continue to try to balance those things. There's some personal goals as far as schools and deployments and different things that I want to accomplish before I get out. But some of that's selfish. And so I'm trying to balance all of the above. And then obviously, my walk with God and my family are going to come before all of that. And so yeah, I'm at an interesting point where I'm not really sure what all of that looks like. In the next couple years, I've got several goals. Working with those nonprofits is one of them. I just think it's not every day that somebody, especially from our community, has this type of platform. And it would be selfish and just probably flat out unwise not to use it for some sort of good. And so I'd like to do that. But then one of the other side projects I've got is this setup, and this table I'm sitting at and everything is for the purpose of interviewing combat veterans. And so that is something I'm working towards. I'm getting some of those scheduled, and I want to selfishly sit down and learn from some of these guys who've experienced a lot of things that I haven't, that may help me in that side of my career. But then on the flip side, I think that a lot of times, we see all the Navy SEALs and the Green Berets and whoever being interviewed on podcasts, but you don't talk to a lot of the everyday guys who really have lost people and really have experienced some of the things that maybe I won't. I just don't know. And I think opening some of those conversations, if nothing else, could be therapeutic for them or for the listeners who've experienced some of the same things. And so I'd really like to, even if those get 2 views per video, at least I have gained some wisdom from those guys. And that is something I'd like to work on. But yeah, again, it seems like all of this happened overnight, and it kind of has. So I'm still kind of early in the game, and we'll see what's going on. I'm excited about more music and all of that too. So
that's incredible. If you ever go down my guest list and you see anybody you want, just let me know and I'll try my hardest to connect you. And so I watched this really funny video today from the Marine rapper. And
oh, yes.
oh man, he was saying that some people thought that you were AI, which I've never thought of. But then when he said it today, I was like, well, I guess it could look like that, So
Right.
Anybody who's watching, he's not AI. I mean, Jonathan's real.
Yes, I very much, this is a real table. This is not a green screen you're seeing. Yeah, it was funny that he said that, because we have done a couple projects together but had never been in the same room. We live in the same great state of Texas, just a couple hours away from each other, and just had never been able to connect in person. And so this Friday, we actually have a song, adapted remix from the Yogi Bear cadence. So it'll be called Yogi Bear is Dead. And we actually were able to get together for our first in-person music video. And that is where that video was shot. But I'm very, very excited for that. And that's been one of the best parts of this whole experience to me, is meeting a lot of great people that otherwise I never would have had the opportunity. And, the Marine rapper's got hundreds of thousands of followers behind him and all of that. But at the end of the day, he's another guy who has the same problems as everybody else. And he put his time in the military and has experienced a lot that I haven't. And so I've had opportunities to learn from him and some other guys that I've been able to work with. So it has been awesome. I'm excited for some of those projects.
That's incredible. It's funny because I've been podcasting for a long time, and I mean, probably you're in diapers, maybe, I don't know, since I started podcasting. And the funny thing is, you'll run into people who are going to love you, love your music, support you. And then you might hear from a few trolls once in a while. Just remember that when you're doing good and when you're where God wants you to be, that's when things start happening to trip you up. So you just keep going, delete, block those trolls.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're doing an amazing job, and I appreciate your time. That Yogi Bear song that you're talking about has been stuck in my head all day because I went over to your social media on Instagram this morning, and of course it was one of the first ones that popped up, and now it's just sort of like running through my head the whole
It's
time.
on repeat.
So would you mind, I don't want to put you on the spot too hard, would you mind doing like a line of one of your canvases?
Oh, sure, man. What's one I haven't done? Let's see. One of the cadences that is coming up, I've got 3 volumes of cadences so far, cadences volume 1, 2, and 3 as albums. And there's going to be a lot more because there's just so many cadences. But one that I get all the time is VICTORY, victory. And it's obviously spelled out like that. That cadence, fun fact, I cannot stand. And the only reason I cannot stand it is the only person I've ever heard call it was an NCO with a horrible voice. And so it was just awful. And we all had horrible memories with that cadence, but it goes VICTORY with the response, victory, victory, that's our battle cry. COUNTRY, for God and our country will give our lives. And it just goes in loops. And it is funny how I've been forced to embrace some of these cadences, such as that one, because Yogi Bear I could not stand. But I've been forced to appreciate it now. So yeah, it's been awesome.
I love it. And it's funny because those of you who've been listening for a long time know that I pronunciate things differently sometimes. So cadence. Just caught myself. I'm gonna have to write a song about that later. But
absolutely.
So Jonathan, if you do me a favor and share your social media, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I am Jonathan Michael Fleming everywhere. And that may be even spelled on your screen, I'm assuming. But no spaces, no underscores or dots or anything like that. If you see one with any of that, it's a fake account. Please block it. And they're scamming people. But at Jonathan Michael Fleming, I've got TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are my current platforms.
Awesome. Thank you again for being on the show. I have one
Absolutely.
last question.
Sure.
I used to ask this all the time, and I started getting into some other things on my podcast, but I'm trying to remember to do this. What is one trial you've had in your life, and how did you overcome that trial with triumph?
Oh man.
Just
the
one.
biggest one that would stick out to me, and sorry, I'll give like 30 seconds of backstory. The thing that gives me a lot of drive in my life, or really where that drive and entrepreneurial spirit started in me, was I was running this little business. I built these crafts and whatever when I was like 11, 12 years old. And I told my mom, I want to sell these, but I don't know how. And she said, just sit on a street corner and sell them, make a big old sign. And so she agreed to, for a certain amount of Saturdays, sit with me all day long on the street corner selling these, I could go into all of it, but all of these little crafts that I was doing. And I'd make $75 or $100 in a Saturday. And I just thought I was rolling in the dough, and so my mom inspired a lot of that in me. She's the one who really pushed me to get creative and learn the guitar and learn the piano and some of those sorts of things. Unfortunately, she passed away when I was 12 in a car accident I was involved in and all of that. And so that probably was one of the biggest, obviously setbacks that I've experienced. But it's interesting when you go through things like that because they're inevitable, and things you witness and whatever. You can have 3 people in the same car, and I'll just use that as the example because that's what we're talking about. 3 people experience the same thing who just react totally different. And you can allow that to stunt your life. And it will change some things. It'll affect some things. Or in my case, I was 12, and you can decide to grow up a little faster than you thought you would, and step up for your family and make things happen. And so that's just the attitude that she probably ingrained in me from a young age. But I ended up graduating high school a couple years early after that, going right into college and whatever, because I just felt a sense of responsibility, that unfortunately somebody's not there to give you all that comfort that you needed 24/7 or whatever, but that's okay, because God is there. And I also had 8 other siblings there to wrap their arms around me. So yeah, definitely faith and family are going to be the two answers to that'll help, at least in my experience, will help you triumph anything.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a big one. Honestly, I've been talking to quite a few people lately who've had losses. And so I think that your words that you offered just now are kind of spot on, especially some of my listeners who've been writing in recently, and to experience that at such a young age and to be able to turn that around and just kind of keep pushing through it all. I think it's amazing that you were able to share that with us. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And, like I kind of also think about, what are our options? You have something horrible happen. You can, bury your head in the sand, do nothing, or really do something with it. And I think that you're making your mom proud. I'm sure your grandfather would be proud as well. So, and all of your siblings, and everybody you're impacting, you're really impacting a lot of people for the good. So thank you.
Well, and I've heard this phrase growing up, at least a lot, is the circle of influence. Everyone has a circle of influence, and to somebody that may be their family, to somebody that may be their they're a leader in their church of some kind, or they're a boss at work, or whatever your circle of influence, whoever you can touch. And mine just happens to be on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram right now. But whatever that is, just do the best you can with it. We're taught to be good stewards, and that's something I try to live by. I'm going to be the best steward of my body that I can be, because I'm only given one. Definitely the best steward of my family that I'm responsible for, the finances and the opportunities. And so obviously the rainy days are going to come, and I think of a ruck march, because that's just the easiest example I can point to. Of it may be 12 or 15 or 20 miles, and you just absolutely want to fall over. But what everyone tells you is you're really just walking uphill, downhill. It's still just one foot in front of the other. And on the other side of the hill, you're going to get some relief. So just keep moving and keep trying to touch the lives that you can around you, and put the rest in his hands. So.
Yes. Jonathan, thank you again. If you're listening or watching the show, you're going to find Jonathan's social media in the show notes. Watching, it'll be on the screen here. Thank you again, Jonathan. And thank you everybody so much for listening and watching, and make sure you please share, subscribe, go over to my affiliates, check them out. But Jonathan, thank you. And we're going to keep in contact, and I'm going to watch you grow even more. I know it. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. Please head over to pattikatter.com for the latest updates on Patti, her talk show, and what she's up to. You can also find her on Amazon TV and Roku, and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Patti Katter. Until next time.